What's up YouTube, Kyron back up in here with another video, and today we're going to be covering one of my favorite articles of clothing, vintage t-shirts. I'm going to be discussing where you guys can acquire some of your own vintage tees if you haven't already. But I just wanted to put my own 2 cents on some of my favorite ones, also help some of you guys who aren't so lucky with finding vintage t-shirts on some methods of where you can look about finding some great ones. We'll go over some of my favorites. Sit tight. If you guys are new to the channel, my name's Kyron. Make sure to subscribe. I cover a bunch of things in relation to men's fashion, so let's get right into it. First one being one of my favorite t-shirts. This is kind of the tee that sent me into the path of vintage tees and like just admiring them as a whole. I was into vintage clothing before this, but this was kind of the one that was like, okay, like I could get nostalgic pieces and then also ones that are just like, I guess, quote unquote heavy hitters. That's what I really call them. Tees that go upward of like $1,000. Obviously I'm not in that range yet or like super interested in those. If you guys are into that, that's probably not what you're gonna see in this video, so sorry about that. But I do have a plethora of ones that I do enjoy of my own, so this is kind of my odd to that, you know what I mean? TLC fan mail t-shirt. This is like my band tee, just a charcoal black washed out effect to the whole t-shirt due to like the amount of wear that it's been through. Got this for a pretty decent price at the retail store Lost and Found in Montreal. Unfortunately, I can't shop there currently due to the current situation that we're all in, but I will leave the Instagram account available for you guys in the description below, along with a lot of other things when I talk about the other ways in which you could get vintage t-shirts, so make sure to check out the description. Some little details as to why I like this shirt so much is just because one, TLC, pretty nostalgic for my family and stuff. They always listened to them when I was growing up. Also, there's a Montreal date, and the fact that they started in Canada and then they went to the other states afterwards, I found was kind of interesting because normally like they leave those to the end or like in between. They're not like really coveted dates for some reason. I don't know. But I found that pretty interesting. Love this t-shirt. One of the employees in Dover Street Market actually stopped me and said, oh, I actually went to that concert and he, I think he had this t-shirt also. So that was pretty cool. Fun little story about this. So actually we'll keep that here. On to my next favorite t-shirt. We have 5. This one is one of my favorites strictly because of the wash, and then also this is a good nod to, you don't really have to be a super big fan of what the print is on the t-shirt, but you could just love the details and the story that comes with it. For me, like the slight little distressing on the collar and then the wash and even the stains, the holes, everything about this t-shirt is just what makes me love it so much. Not necessarily the graphic itself, it's because like I believe this is from the movie Cheaper by the Dozen. I wasn't too sure at first when I asked people about it, but apparently it is. It might be like a cinema promo tee. This could just show you that you could see something and you don't really have to directly connect with what the message is on the shirt, but like aesthetically it looks good to you, then just buy it. I'm not one of those people that you have to listen to the band or anything on the t-shirt, but this is great. This is one of my favorite t-shirts, and I got this in Toronto at Black Market, which is another great vintage store, and then this was like super cheap. I believe it was like maybe $20 or something like that, maybe even cheaper, maybe 15, and the first one was like maybe 40, and I've gotten offered like over $100 for that first t-shirt. Some of these are maybe even investment pieces depending on like how lucky you get, or if you get like a good flip, like you buy it for a low, sell it for a high. This whole vintage game is very like wishy-washy, depends on the piece. If you get lucky, it ends up being very rewarding, I'm telling you. I'm not the biggest vintage aficionado either. I'm just putting in my own personal knowledge out there. If I'm not coming correct, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always open to discussion and also just like free knowledge. So if you guys have any info, definitely let me know. On to the next one. This is going into the territory of where you could get vintage t-shirts online. So my personal take on where you could get them and how to go about getting vintage t-shirts online: Instagram selling accounts are like perfect for this. I would start off with some that people recommend. My favorite so far, like I'll leave a couple in the description below. Dwip Dealer, which I always mention, but that's where I got this t-shirt from. Great Instagram vintage selling account. If you guys are interested in that, please go check him out. He's amazing. He has a great selection and he's local to me, so kind of a win-win. Also Dry Bones, another one of my friends, Iceman. Crazy selection as well. You can start off with those 2, and then there's like a little recommended button below it, and then they can show you like who they're like interested in, and then also you just fall down the rabbit hole and you'll find a whole bunch of them. Instagram vintage selling accounts, definitely one of the great ways of going about getting vintage t-shirts. Also, the 2 great apps that we all know of and have come to love, Depop and Grailed. Great avenues to look for vintage t-shirts as well. I personally have a Depop account if you guys are interested in any vintage items or vintage tees. If I don't wear them anymore, I'll normally throw them up on there. The Grailed, I'm still building it up. But if you guys are interested in that, I'll definitely leave that in the description below. All the information is going to be down there, so definitely go check that out. It's going to be crazy. But on this tee, reason why I love it mainly is because the distressing on the back. It's really, really nice. I feel like in the summertime, this will be great because it'll just be breezy. It's just great. I feel like it's really just a paper thin white t-shirt. And the beauty in this is that when Dwit Dealer was showing it to me, he actually showed it to me inside out, and then it makes it more of like a pale color and you don't really notice it too much. I love it inside out. I don't really necessarily connect with the graphic, but the details and the distressing, the color, the fit, especially the fit, because the way this falls on my waist is just perfect. So I would definitely start studying measurements of some of your favorite t-shirts and ask for the measurements and kind of cross-reference them and see which one fits you the best that way if you're looking for an online piece such as this one or any other one that you find. One of my favorite tees, and this is kind of the affordable alternative to finding vintage t-shirts. Sometimes you get lucky and you can find them in an actual thrift store. I got this for super cheap. I think it was $2, and it's a Fruit of the Loom vintage blank t-shirt, and it's just like a Je me souviens Quebec blue basic single stitch t-shirt. Another way of verifying if it's a vintage item. If it is single stitch, then it's probably before 1995 is what I've been told or seen on the internet. So if you guys care about that, that's another thing to look for. You can sometimes get lucky in the thrift store and find something that's really up your alley stylistically, and it's also a nice pop of color. I don't have too much color either. I really enjoy this one, and this just shows you that you can find some cool vintage bangers in the thrift store. And the last one is more on the topic of like vintage, how would you say, like more flea markets, curated vintage stores. I like this because you're gonna find more of a curated selection of great t-shirts. Like you're not gonna find a bad t-shirt in there. If you do, it's probably just not your style, but most of it is curated to like fit the wants of like a community that really wants these type of t-shirts. So you're definitely gonna find something that you like. It's not gonna be like a thrift store where you go in and you're not really sure what you're gonna find. So this is the result of that. I got this t-shirt from Palmo, which is like another vintage type of curated shop in Montreal, but there is a bunch of those like internationally from what I've come to know. Just this style of t-shirt is more of like what I've been interested in my current style, just because it's more like 70s and like paper thin. These type of graphics are one of my favorites. I just love this shirt. There's nothing that I find that I don't like about it. As for some of the other ones, like I'm kind of nitpicky, and I'm just really picky when it comes to shirts. But Ashland Lake Gun Club, I believe this was made in the 70s, and then this was like $40. So sometimes you could find good t-shirts for a pretty decent price. Sometimes these would be like really, really overpriced in like LA or any other places where vintage is coveted. But I will leave a whole bunch of options for you guys in the description below for vintage t-shirts, as well as my own personal selling accounts. As for styling these t-shirts, my favorite suggestion is kind of two different ways. As for like a street style approach, I would kind of keep it very simple and plain. I love wearing like sweatpants with vintage tees. You kind of can see this across all of your Instagram Explorer page if you're in this realm of fashion. Kind of be just like Rick Owens sweats, or like a really plain minimalist aesthetic-y type of gray sweatpant, and just let the t-shirt do the talking, and you could get a lot of wears out of these t-shirts. I feel like that's why a lot of people love them so much. A lot of people are gonna be online and be like, oh, he wore that same t-shirt, blah blah blah. If it's a t-shirt that's just really amazing, you can wear it time after time and no one's gonna really tell you anything. So that's another reason why I love these tees. And the other way is kind of like getting a more minimalist tee, like a white one, or like just one that's more plain that you can wear inside out, or it's actually blank, and using it as a base layer, kind of like similar to what I'm wearing now. Throw a cardigan on, throw a jacket over, and kind of use it as like a texture to the rest of the outfit. Just add some dimension. So I feel like that's my two favorite ways of styling these t-shirts. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully that helped you guys in finding out where you could get some vintage t-shirts. I feel they're just great because the wash you can't really mimic on a lot of these tees. Also the fits, and it's just very sustainable. So it's kind of a win-win-win across the whole board when it comes to clothing such as this. And they're just like pieces that you're just gonna keep for a very long time. I don't really see myself letting these go, and they hold their value. So if you do want to let them go and then cycle some new ones in, then it just works out across the board, like I said. So thank you guys for watching. Once again, my name is Kyron. You guys can keep up to date with me on my Instagram. GOTSWEIGE is where you can find me. I'll be on there posting fit pics, this and that, you already know. And like I said, all the details as to t-shirts and a whole bunch of other stuff will be found in the description below. And yeah, I think that's about it. I'll see you guys soon on the next video. Take care. I'm out.
Everything you want, you can have.